how was your Christmas?
Yeah, I was just talking about that because it was a little bit different this year.
Hmm.
Because I didn't have the girls with me. I didn't have anybody with me on Christmas Day.
Hmm.
And so I slept in until like 9 o'clock.
Hmm.
And then got up and just kind of hung out and kind of did whatever around my house. And then about like what was it? Sometime in the afternoon, like about 3, I think, is when I went live with Uper and we did the gingerbread houses.
Uh-huh.
And that was super fun. Um,
And
like we had such a blast doing that. Um, and so it was fun because I was telling my sister that I was going to do that, and she's like, "Well, like," so she was asking me, she's like, "How do you know this guy or whatever?" I was like, "We met online," and I'm like, she's like, "So you never met him in person?" I'm like, "Nope." Like, she's like, "Oh, that's cool." Like, and so yeah, it was really fun to just get on there, do that, hang out, and yeah, just spend time doing that. We were just laughing and joking and stuff the whole time. And then I mean, just go back and forth. We just give each other a hard time and stuff about it. So it was a lot of fun to be able to do that. Um, and I mean, then you don't. I mean, the I didn't feel like I missed out on Christmas at all,
hmm.
because we had Christmas a few days before, and so I didn't like tie Christmas to Christmas Day. And that
Hmm.
was the only day this week that I had off work, anyways, was Christmas Day actually. Um,
Hmm.
and so it was fine for me. And then we just did something. I just did something different on Christmas Day, but going live and hanging out with you and stuff. And so it was a lot of fun doing that. So yeah, it went well.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad y'all had fun
Yeah,
because I was sad that I couldn't go. I had my ginger. I still have my gingerbread house and all. I was just like, there's no way. I literally laid down after we did Christmas with my mom, and I slept for 24 hours on there.
Hmm.
I think I just slept all week. That's all
Yeah.
I've done. And
Well,
he's
after we did that on Christmas, we are like, dude, we got to do this again next year. So we're
hmm.
planning on doing it again because it was a lot of fun. So
That's cool. Well,
yeah,
I know Christmas is like touchy for different people, like everything, everybody has their certain situations. So,
yeah,
um, but yeah, so I'm glad that was a very chill and fun Christmas. I know I was thinking about it today because I was Carter's been on his computer in home and up underneath me. And I was like, I really can't be mad. Like that's his whole social life is on the freaking computer besides at
yeah,
school. I was like, I do the same thing. Like my whole thing is online.
right,
Like I don't know why I'm sitting here so upset about it when I literally like that's all my business, my everything is online.
yeah,
And that will be, the future. Everything will be. So
yeah,
I think it's funny how things are coming. It's just like don't talk to strangers online, and how
yeah,
everybody is just friends. You've never met in person, but it doesn't matter.
right, yeah,
But I remember I used to get on Carter. I'm like, who are you talking to on your PlayStation? He's like, oh, he's my best friend in California, and he was like 4 years old. Yeah, remember? You had like all. You were younger than that, Carter. He had friends everywhere, like in Maine, in California. He had more friends than me online. Like maybe playing their little games, and I'd have to go in there. But even if he was talking to like some 40-year-old man, like really, what was gonna happen? Like
right,
I don't know. Not on a
yeah. I
gaming,
mean,
like a PlayStation.
right, yeah,
I mean, it would be weird, but
right,
but yeah. So, welcome to the future.
yeah. No, I still like when my girls like get outside and do stuff outside, but yeah, they do. They do like to do a lot of stuff
It,
on their tablets and stuff. And I'm like, all right,
it,
at some point, let's go. Like, um,
yes, no, I'm right there with you. Well, you have to move your body. Like you have to go get vitamin D. Like
Yeah.
sun is healthy and healing. So and so is outside of it. So I can
Well, I
tell a
like
big difference when we're
I got home from
go
work the
ahead.
other day, and one of my daughters was outside, like on because she had a skateboard for Christmas, and so she was outside like practicing riding her skateboard, and I was like, all right, cool. Well, don't you're not at least not inside all day. So yeah,
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. Did you have somebody reach out to you about the VNS? I sent you
yes, yeah,
somebody your way.
yep,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah. And I
awesome.
actually found out she's in Denver.
Yeah, that's why. Because when
Yeah,
I talked to her, she was like, "I'm in Colorado." I was like, "Oh, well, Joe, my friend who I do lives with, and he's really close. Like, he lives in Colorado and Denver as well. You probably should reach out to him because he actually has the VNS."
yeah. No,
So,
she messaged me, and then she like said something about like being at like this certain hospital, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, are you in Denver? And she's like, yeah, because like there's other hospitals that have that same name around the country. I was like,
hmm
are you in Denver? And she's like, yeah. I was like, oh, hey, me too. So,
Yeah, that's
um,
awesome.
but yeah, and so it was interesting because she asked about like she was like I guess they suggested that she get the RNS,
hmm
but she's scared about getting that because it's a very invasive thing into your brain. Um, and so she was wanting to get the VNS instead. Um,
And then, what do you think about that? Because that's why I said the RNS, I feel like would be you'd have to have them like pretty serious. Like that for me, like all options, like weighed all medicine options, because it's just like surgery, like you're going in some place that could have like serious implications from
so
what I
I mean,
read about
I told her I was like I was not the RNS was not an option when I had the VNS implanted. It was actually invented the year after I had the VNS.
it.
Um, and so that was not even an option for me. But looking at it now, if I had the option between the RNS and the VNS, I would totally do the RNS.
Really, you would?
100% because it's way better technology. Um,
I know,
because
but like it's in your brain, isn't it?
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, if you
That's
think about it though, the VNS is hooked up to a nerve that goes directly into your brain, anyways. So
right.
either way, they're sending shockwaves into your brain.
I'm not worried
Um,
about the shockwaves. I'm not worried about the shockwaves.
right.
I'm worried about too close for comfort for me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
I
know. I
mean,
feel like the smallest, like say you ran into a wall or fell down from like you had a seizure, like a breakthrough seizure. I don't know. I did ask my neurologist if I could have brain surgery and she's like no. But
yeah,
I'm getting a new neurologist because or I'm going to an epitomologist, not a neurologist. Because I just don't think, I think a neurologist, is a general scope of
right.
neurology, right? It's not
Yeah,
specifically for epilepsy.
yeah,
And with that comes, I wouldn't say a lack of knowledge, but they don't just specifically study that, so they're
right.
not going to know everything in the
Yeah,
best route.
yeah. The more specialized you can get, the better off you'll be.
Yeah,
So,
that's where I'm
but
at
I mean,
now.
but yeah, I mean, if I had the option to get the RNS, I totally would because it would be because, like I said, it has the higher technology. They can get information off of it, and it reacts to how your brain functions. So, especially with when I was having like cluster seizures,
Hmm.
so I was having like 13 tonic clonic seizures a day. If it could have reacted to the fact that I was about to have a seizure and stopped me from having clusters, um, that would have been awesome. There would have
Yeah,
been so much brain damage that would not have occurred.
and I can see how that's beneficial. I mean, I definitely, if I was in that situation, I would want something to, I don't necessarily know if you can breathe your way out of things like that. But I did see this woman who cured her brain cancer the other day. She cured her brain cancer from Wim Hof breathing, strength training, and some weird diet.
Hmm.
Like, cured it. And that is phenomenal.
Yeah,
Like, I think stuff like that is so crazy.
yeah,
Because, like, it just shows you, like, mindset is everything.
yeah. Yeah, when I
Or,
was having like when I would have like 11, 13 seizures in a day, I wasn't
uh-huh,
even waking up in between them.
uh-huh,
I would have the first one, and then by the time like before I ever woke up, I would have another one. So
right.
I would have 13 in a row without ever regaining consciousness. Um, and then it would finally get stopped at some point. Um, and yeah, there was no stopping them on my part at that point.
Yeah, you didn't have, like, an option.
No,
Well, a natural option at least to be able to
right,
do it. Yeah,
yeah,
no, there's situations for sure. What it's too, like you can't function if you're not even present. There's no way to go about it.
right.
And thankfully, and that's the thing is so hard. Like for me, being sick this week is harder than a seizure. It
Yeah.
it is. Like I literally am the meanest. I am the meanest person. I was like, I think this is how people who have seizure like are going through like when they have seizures. Like I think this is how they feel. Like because
Huh.
I've done so much work with seizures that it's like I know the process, I know my routine, like as long as emergency personnel are not asking me questions like what the president is, I'm typically give myself grace, do my things, and I I will recover. Like I live. Like that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, sickness reminds me of withdrawing. It reminds me of the addiction. It reminds me of
Really.
like, yeah, because I rarely get sick, but when I do, it reminds me of the lowest of lows of being like just your body completely I don't know, just being in those fit, that's what I go to. And that to me is like the worst sickness of what I've
Huh.
ever experienced. Like seizures don't top it.
That's crazy.
It's awful. It feels like your body is rotting away. And I hate it. I hate every bit of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm going to NA meeting. Like I was like, I'm going back to NA meetings next week. I was like, no, yeah, I'm serious. And dead ass was like, maybe I should just drink this away. And I wouldn't have, but that's just what happens in your brain. It's just like old when you haven't processed things and you
Yeah.
have to. I was like, I'm just gonna get a fucking bottle and drink this shit away like I used to. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't have, but yeah, I was like, why am I so triggered?
You're
Like
like, why?
why am
Why
I
would I do that? Like,
yeah,
no.
yeah, like why? And I was like, and that's what it is. It reminds me of withdrawal. And I was like, okay, now I kind of get why people are so mad when they have seizures. This must be their worst case. Like this
Yeah.
must be their equal to my worst case. And I hope nobody uses solutions like drugs as a solution to their problems because I promise you that solution will turn into an even bigger sickness and there are worse things than seizures. Like,
And
like
it's
there
not a
are
solution at all. It's all it is a
not,
band aid,
no,
and
it,
it's not a
yeah,
good band aid.
like there are worse sicknesses than like it was the solution I used turned into a sickness that was worse than the sickness I was trying to find a solution for.
Right? Yeah.
Like, and now it's just another like chronic, lifelong trying to figure it out. So yeah. Hi Trevor, and thank you for liking this live. Um, but yeah, it was a fucking extreme week. I went through some shit. I had like a whole mental breakdown. You know, my child, of course, gets to see my crazy. Even though he said the sweetest thing today, he was like, I see you haven't been doing that much yoga because you're focusing on your business, and I think you're going to be a millionaire. He was like, I have all the faith in you. I was like, that's so sweet. Like, how did I get such a sweet child?
Well, they took after their parents, so
Right, right. So yeah, no, now I like was humbled by the experience because I was like, okay, well, I get the whole, I just forgot about how that whole seizures being like a true like sickness because
yeah,
of my bad choices, my bad solution to life.
yeah. And it's hard. I mean, and I don't experience this on that level, but I mean, I know a lot of people will use drugs and alcohol as a way to try and fix what they're going through, and all it is trying to cure cancer with a band-aid.
Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
not helping anything. So
Oh, it's an
uh,
absolute, and that's why a lot of people think like drugs and alcohol are the problem, and they're not. Like they are the solution that turn into a fucking humongous problem, but they're actually trying to solve a problem. Like the problem is always still there. And I figured that out when I got sober because none of my shit was fixed. Like it actually got way
right,
worse. I had to deal with and still do. Um, all my behaviors were the same. I still was irrational, probably even more irrational. I was still depressed, still sad, still like acting in certain ways, still would like binge eat or do these things, emotional eat instead of drinking. I would use food or whatever. So the problems are still always there. So
right,
a lot of people think like, oh, okay, drugs and alcohol are so bad. Well, technically, there's a lot of people who use them, you know, holiday Christmas party. Never use them the whole entire year. Do I think that's bad? Not really. You know, like have a little fun in your life if that's what you want to do one time a year. That's not the case for me at all. So yeah, it is a terrible thing that turns into a sickness that you have to work really hard on your mind for.
right, yeah.
So, so yeah, it's been an interesting week for sure. Been all sorts of crazy.
Well, and
Anyhow.
it's I don't I'm sure that you experience at least to an extent the feelings that come along with holidays and stuff. Um, and so that compounded with being sick, um, probably plays some of a role in it too. Whether or not I mean, people experience feelings around holidays no matter what, just because they're holidays. And there's so much going on. So good, bad, otherwise, whatever. There's a lot of stuff going on around holidays that are, it just makes people's emotions go all kinds of different ways. So to be sick on top of that is a lot. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I like to say, like, we don't plan for tragedy, right? Like, we don't plan for things to go a different way than the original way we planned for. So, and
Yeah,
I typically like if it goes in the not controlled way that I thought it was gonna go, it can really throw me off course. And being sick, oh
hey
God,
Joe.
yeah,
Hey.
that is definitely one way. And that probably is like epilepsy at a root way, because we strive, I think, as epileptics to have so much control because we have no control in a way.
Yeah,
Like we know that and we know of being knocked like off our feet, like literally, figuratively, metaphorically.
yeah,
And so I think that not expecting the tragedy that was epilepsy, it really like gets to me. Sometimes I have to check myself a lot when plans don't go my perfect way.
yeah. Hey,
Uh, uh,
thanks for
uh,
sending those roses, Joe. I talked about this a little before you got in here, but I want to talk about it some with you too. Um, so I don't know. Are you on Threads or no?
I am on Threads.
Okay, so on there you can make like a poll. And so like was yesterday, um, I made a poll and just asked, "Hey, have you ever seen someone have a seizure in public?" And it was just yes or no. That's all it was. There was no follow-up questions, nothing like that. Um, I had like I think 37 people that saw that post and 3 people answered. 2 people said yes and 1 person said no. And I was like, why? Why is it so hard to just go, okay, that's an easy question. I can just answer that and move on with my day. And
Hmm.
then like, and it was frustrating to me. It's up there for 24 hours.
Hmm.
It's like that's frustrating to me. And then like I was scrolling through there a little bit today and I saw someone post and they said, um, hey, I'm really close to hitting a new goal on Threads to get a bigger payout. Can you just share this for me? And they had tons and tons of comments and people commenting and sharing it just to give someone more money.
Hmm.
And I'm like, what is this? Like, what is this interaction of you don't want to do something that has like you're not willing to answer a simple poll where it's just a yes or no question.
Hmm.
You're not answering any kind of a deep theological question at all, but you'll take the time to comment and share and whatever on someone's post that you have no idea who it is to help them get more money. I don't get any money from that. I don't get any money from that at all.
Hmm.
But so that was just interesting to me.
A lot of people do that. Um, I think that people first are very motivated to see other people win. If they have the mentality of it will help them win. So if somebody has like, okay, well, if I do this, it will help me also in some way, like mentality like that. Um, like in marketing or anything they teach you, most people will not do anything unless they get something out of it. Point blank period. Like even just a poll. Like you have to give something away for to get something.
Sandy just said they want to be recognized, which is true.
Yeah, like um even like like business that's like 101. Like people aren't going to give you money until first of all they trust you and they're getting something
Yeah.
already. Like the big thing right now. And so that's the same with posting. Like most of the time Like if you have worded it like, how has seeing a seizure impacted you? That because it's about them, like that, and acknowledging their experience, that might have hit a little bit better.
Yeah, and it
Or,
I guess that requires a comment response,
uh-huh.
um, which then feeds the algorithm, which then causes more people, and
Mhm.
I don't know, whatever.
And
It's a game.
I
It's a
know that
silly
would
game that I
be,
hate.
I know, and I know that would be a little bit different than you just trying to get, uh, seeing who's seen a seizure and who's not. And where you could be like, have you ever been impacted by seizures? Has I don't know how you would word it, but it like have to be like some emotional take
Yeah.
with it. So the people who probably did it are probably epilepsy seizures have been
Probably.
a part of their life, like
Yeah.
a family member or
Thank you, Akira.
their doctor. I don't know.
Yeah. And that's the
Oh.
thing is with when you put a poll up on there, I can't even see who answered it. So I have no idea who answered it,
hmm
which I actually like that. Like I don't want to necessarily know. Um I think that's kind of like the beauty of that is that I just want anonymous responses. Um because I think that's kind of cool. You can just answer it, and I don't have to know who answered it. I just want to see, hey, there was 50 people, 30 said yes, 20 said no, but whatever. I don't. I mean, but it was interesting to me that only 3 people answered it though. So, oh,
Yeah.
Sandy said that she wants, she said feel better, Morgan.
Thank you. I'm trying.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think 3 out of 37. What's that percentage? I can't do math right now.
It's a little less than 10%.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good return then, I would say. That makes sense. I mean, that's a good return
10,
on the,
10% would have been 3 out of 30. So,
yeah. I think that's a good return on it. So if you had 60 and had six, yeah, that makes sense. I think actually 3 out of 37 is actually a pretty good return, like actual equation of it. Now, if you had 1,000 people and only 3 people, that would be a little bit questionable, to be honest.
if I had 1,000 people see anything that I post on there, I'd be happy.
If you had 1,000 and only 3, then I probably would be more concerned
uh,
about it. But
yeah,
it also would then be a positive note that you got 1,000 people viewing your shit.
true.
So
Yes.
I guess it's all about how you look at it. But yeah, like I think, well, if you're looking at conversions, right? Because I think if you get 1,000 people to open an email, and if 10% convert to customers, that's that's a win.
No, that would be, yeah, that's crazy good. But
Yeah.
that's a whole different thing though. That's like, I guess I'm not even looking at trying to make customers. I'm just thinking like all you're doing is answering a yes or no thing.
I think the
Um
same applies though. I think the
that
same applies. I
I don't
think
know.
the numbers, the conversions.
Maybe I'm like the overachiever and I'm like I scroll through people's videos and I'm like if I took the time to watch it then I'm just gonna go ahead and like it. But
Uh-huh. Well, that's actually really good on your part because the more engagement you do, the better the algorithm likes you. Like TikTok
yeah.
and Meta are like that. Oh, TikTok especially, I think the more engagement, then the more it pushes your stuff out. from what my understanding. Also, the more people see you, same thing with Meta. So if you're just on here like I am, who just posts and then comments to all the people, I do try my best to engage a little bit more. But yeah, actually that's a really good thing on your part. So keep doing that because the
I just
algorithms
don't. I just have a hard time with the posting part.
Oh, I have no problem. Well, this week I just could not.
Oh.
I had nothing positive, nice to say. And I was like, you know what? If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Oh man.
That is what I have
Yeah.
learned, which I
Sandy
don't
said
think.
Sandy said
Hmm,
most people are concerned only with the numbers, which is true. Most people are concerned just with the numbers. Um, yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
numbers person and I look at the conversions. Um, I mean, I do accounting, so, but I probably get a little too caught up in the numbers. That's why this shit makes me aggravated as hell. Because I'm just like, it doesn't make sense. You do so much work for like, I'm the same like you, except for I think anything I post should get like 1 million views. But that's not how.
Yeah. Like
That's not.
how many people are out here and I can get like 150 views? Come on, man.
Yeah,
Can't be
I'm like,
there's nobody
what?
up.
I'm like, I put so much effort into this. I deserve 150,000 views now.
Uh,
I think that's more
yeah.
of it is like the time it takes to create content, like the work that goes into it. And then nobody sees it. I'm just like, I'm like,
uh,
I get no appreciation from the world that I deserve. I'm on like a complete ego trip, and I'm like, this is God. This is God humbling my ass because I'm not doing this in the intention that I need to do it. And
uh,
I know that.
and I'm over here like, whatever. I don't care. I'll just put it up there. If anybody sees it, cool. I don't care. My
And
only
that
thing
is,
is like, my only thing is like, if you see it, then just go ahead and do something with it. Like, I don't know, I guess, but whatever.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
It's just better not to think about it, in my personal opinion, because if I think about it, then I get so frustrated because I'm just like, first of all, nobody's paying me to do this.
Right?
Hopefully it pays off. Like, I hope the once I get my funnel built, so my stuff will be out there because I'm building strictly like a method for epilepsy. Like it's not just yoga, it's like all my practices for everything, like how I built my internal sensory systems to know my nervous system is dysregulated and I can feel seizures coming on and all sorts of things. So once that is built, I'm hoping all this content will be pushed out to the right people who could use it. So,
So are you creating like a digital product then?
it'll be
Nice.
like a free 3-day workshop, and then which will be that would be free, and then I have a low ticket, which would probably be a 5-day course, and then a higher ticket thing, but it won't be that much, and then of course one-on-one. So,
Hey Ellie.
and then yeah, so it will be like introduction stuff. Like the thing about yoga and any holistic thing is it's all about consistency and what you put into it.
Yeah.
Like most of my yoga, Wyatt Carter's like, you're not practicing yoga is because most of it that is transformative, I don't do on the mat. Like it's the strength in the handstands, the arm balance is stuff that helped me overcome fear and trust myself and my body. Those, yes. but that would probably be a whole separate thing, like that would be completely different, a different course. But most of the things is like every day, like when you're scared to leave the house, like you have that thought, like, oh my God, what if I fucking have a seizure and die in this gathering, like that I have to go to? Like, how do you cope with that? And
Like
those
so like mental, like mindset stuff like that.
and breathing techniques, like to come out
Okay,
of it.
nice.
So, like specific breathing techniques for epilepsy. There's certain ones that you do, and there's some that are not for epileptics due to some breathing techniques. You restrict your breath, and some are heating. So if you have a heat trigger, you don't want to do a warming breathing technique. So it is
Okay,
very kind of, you need to know like your triggers, or there's safe ones, like they're safe across the board. That's not really going to
yeah.
bother anybody. But yeah.
What have you looked at like the like cross referencing any of that information into other neurological things too? To see if like it would help out like say, hey, this would help out with seizures and epilepsy, but it can also be used for migraines or something like that.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know about migraines. I haven't really cross-referenced um like ADHD, neurotypical or neurodivergent stuff. Yeah. I'm really only going based on an my experience and some people that I've taught and research. So
Okay.
studies that have been with yoga and epileptic.
Okay.
So I can't, sorry, I'm dying. So I can't like say because it's out of my scope of practice to be like, oh, this will reduce your seizures or anything like that. But the statistics show it. Um,
It's hard to
which
make a
is
claim like that anyways because people then will want to come back on you for that, but you could say
yeah.
that's what this
Mm-hmm.
is study shows, and
Mm-hmm.
doing these specific things has been proven or to potentially
Mm-hmm.
do this. I mean, you have to be very careful with your wording like that.
That's
So
what the first
Sandy,
question
stop it.
most that's what the first question most people is like, oh, well, does this, stop your seizures? And I'm like, I don't know if anything stops your seizures. Like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
I don't know because there are people who have been seizure free for 12 years and out of nowhere will have a seizure.
Yeah.
Or they've been seizure free since childhood and bam, they come back. Like that is something, that's why medical professionals can't even do it. That's why they can't even tell you where they come from. Like the brain is so advanced, they can't understand it. And
Yeah.
if it was that easy to be like, breathe, practice these things, eat these things. And so, I mean, somebody healed their cancer. Plenty of people actually have healed their cancer, but that's way different because you're killing cancer cells, like you're starving them from what they want. So that is a little bit different than where seizures resonate or come from. But yeah, so this is more about like gaining confidence, trusting your body, building your internal sensory systems, regulating your nervous system, which is your vagus nerve, which can goes up to your brain, which is what the VNS does, but you have to do it. So I'm not saying like it's the same as the VNS because the VNS does it automatically. You don't have to think twice about it. But same principles, right? So say somebody's on the fence about the VNS, it would be a kind of introduction of that, I would say regulating your nervous system. Did you feel like
Okay.
your nervous system was regulated when you had the VNS? You feel like
I don't
I feel like
I don't know. I mean, I don't need I can't even speak to that necessarily. Everything was so out of whack and everything back then. I can't even say.
how
So,
long how long did you say that when did it stop working?
it was installed, and yes, Sandy, the brain is ridiculously complex. Like it's
Mhm.
the for doctors to try and understand it is they think they know some of it, and it's they just keep learning new things.
Well, it keeps
It was
changing. That's the thing is like it
yeah,
changes. It
it
changes as we
does.
learn. So it's smarter than we are in because we're constantly building new neural pathways. So it's adapting and evolving as we adapt and evolve because it's the brain. So I don't know if it we will ever catch up to how advanced it is. Like it's the ultimate algorithm is how I see it. Like
Yeah,
it's constantly learning and reshaping and it's pretty amazing.
yeah,
So I just say we have the smartest brains. Like
true. Yeah.
just-
Oh, so Sandy said, so the VNS tells them where the seizure is coming from. The VNS does not do that. The VNS will only um, send the electrical impulses to the brain. I don't know exactly how the RNS works, if it is able to tell where the seizures are coming from or not. I don't know exactly on that, but
and that's
that's
for focals, right? That's only for focal seizures.
is it? I don't know.
I don't think
Okay,
because I have generalized epilepsy, I think that's why none of those things are options.
okay,
Like I know, like I think that's why like any brain like cert like no, supposedly that's why I don't have much options is because it's generalized epilepsy. It's from what I can tell. But yeah, I think the RNS is for focalized, if I'm not
okay,
mistaken.
okay.
So they would need to know where the seizures are originating on which
Yeah.
hemisphere of the brain.
Okay. Yeah. Mine are generalized too.
Yeah,
Um, but the VNS must work for that.
yeah.
Um,
hmm
but if the RNS isn't for that, then that must be something. And I don't know. Like I said, I haven't looked a whole lot into the RNS just because at this point I it's not a thing for me.
I'm
Um,
pretty sure that's what I read. I could be very wrong. I was sick this week when I was looking at it. So,
I'll have to look into it a little bit more. But just so that I can talk about it intelligently with people.
yeah.
But
Well, that's why I had to
yeah,
look it up because I was like, I don't know. I've never heard of the RNA.
I
The,
know some about it only from talking with other people, but I haven't really like researched it and stuff. So I'll have to do a little bit of research and looking at it and seeing what exactly it is and all like more about it.
hmm
Um, because it is, it's the technology behind it is very interesting. And I know it's a lot farther advanced than what the VNS is. Um, because it has different um, it does different things than what the VNS does because it actually um, like the brain, it learns as it goes. I know that, and it's supposed to more target things than what the VNS did. The VNS is just um, working the same way all the time, where the RNS is actually supposed to learn and then react to what it learns.
hmm
So
So I can see if the VNS is directly impacting the vagus nerve, then I would see that more of it being regulating the central nervous systems, like the central nervous system, your God, why can't I just said it? All your nervous systems, and that would help,
yeah,
like keeping that because if you keep that in homeostasis, because that's what the biggest nerve does.
Okay. Yeah, and I was in high school. I was in junior in high school when junior or senior. Maybe it was my no, it was my senior year of high school.
Hmm.
Um, and when I got that installed, and I didn't care about anything at that point about like learning anything. I was just everything was just whatever. Um, and so it was just that's what they were doing, and so I just did it.
Yeah.
Um,
If
Sandy asked
anybody,
if
oh,
Sandy
go
asked
ahead.
you to ever go to the Mayo Clinic to see what's there on epilepsy. I was actually at Mayo Clinic for a while getting testing done. Um,
That's super interesting.
yeah, that was while I was in high school. I was at Mayo Clinic for a while getting testing done. So yes, I have been there.
I have not. I have
Yeah.
not been there.
So.
Yes, and if you ever want to understand what I'm talking about, the vagus nerve, if you ever, when you take those big, deep breaths as you inhale, like through your belly, and then you exhale, like that's that vagus nerve being directly impacting and calming all your nervous systems. That's
Okay.
going straight to your brain and being like, woosah. It's
So
like,
is that? I mean, do you think that's because you're actually getting enough oxygen, or like basically like flooding your body with oxygen at that point, where you're not typically getting as much. You're typically like getting your um, the amount that you kind of need to keep going.
so it helps with the oxygen intake. You can for sure feel that, but it's a different, like when you're doing the belly breathing, it'll be more of like, it's a different feeling. Like you can feel more oxygen come in. But then if you do the belly breathing, you can feel kind of the mental homeostasis balance, if you know what I mean. Do you know,
Okay.
like when you go, are you like breathing pretty like steadily when you, I would imagine when you're snowboarding, right? You have to stay with your breath. You're breathing
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. It could be, or is your heart racing? Or is it a different type of breath? I'm not
My
sure.
heart is not racing. No. Um. No.
W-
Not unless
Yeah.
I'm going like 65 miles an hour.
No, but the breathing does matter. It is bringing more oxygen into your brain, which is super helpful. That makes a big difference, especially with epilepsy, because lack of oxygen can cause seizures, also speed up the heart rate. Like for people who, like, I'm triggered by it. If my breath is not regulated, my heart rate is not like my heart rate can be up, but if I have a lack of oxygen, then that is where my nervous system gets deregulated, out of balance, and I will surely feel, I can tell if I'm about to have a seizure. And
Okay.
so that's why I love yoga so much because I can stay with that pace. Say I do CrossFit of some sort or high intensity cardio, I'm gonna have my chronic seizures. Like
Hmm.
if I try to keep up with the pace of a class or a pace of another instructor because I deep breathe. Like shallow breathing is going to send it into high cortisol, into a fight or flight state.
Okay.
So
Huh. Interesting.
it's what, yeah, the breathing really matters as far as regulating your nervous system and keeping it regulated even when working out.
Huh.
So a lot of people, and that's why a lot of people, like especially in my age, in your age, women who work out all the fucking time but don't lose weight or get their results because they're still in such a high cortisol state. They're still so in their fight or flight, stressed the fuck out. and they're
Yeah.
just keeping on pounds because they're not actually de-stressing,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm not gonna speak to any women losing weight because that's not my thing. So
Well, no,
no,
I
I get
mean,
it.
yeah,
I get it
yeah.
though. I
I,
understand.
I think all women are beautiful, but I'm saying like
Oh, I do too.
their goal, like, but here's the thing is like if they're not seeing results, a lot of times women will go like 30,000 times harder
Yeah.
trying to achieve this thing. Carter, are you on my life? I think he is. Um, they'll go even harder trying with the same thing, but still not achieving anything, and it's
But
just
it's yeah, you're
worsening.
not. Yeah, you're not.
Mhm.
You're fighting yourself really at that point. So,
Yeah.
Sandy
Hmm.
asked about my thoughts on the Mayo Clinic. So that was while I was in high school as well, and that probably would have been like freshman or sophomore year of high school, and I just didn't care at all about anything at that point. I know that I've been there, um, but um, I can't even say as far as my thoughts about it. I didn't care about anything at all back then. That was a very dark time in my life that nothing mattered at all to me. So as far as my thoughts on a hospital, I have absolutely zero thoughts on what a hospital was like. If I went back then and now, I would be able to look at the hospital a lot more objectively and be able to see, okay, this is a good, bad, whatever on it. At that point, I didn't care at all about anything. So,
Me either. It was YOLO for me.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't care about much at all.
So,
I just, you know what I find fascinating? Did we talk about this already? Is that okay? So I think we have talked about this.
of course, Andy,
Um,
anytime.
but like growing up without social media, pros and cons. Cons, I thought I was the only one out here with epilepsy in these streets. I was like, okay, well, I'm all by myself, and thought I was an alien. So, pro, we didn't have all this information. Like, I think all the information of like what can like you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do this. What if you do this? Blah 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 blah. Like I didn't. My mom didn't live like that. Like she didn't. I know she had her fears. She still has her fears. Still does. But she never limited me in what I could do and what I could achieve. Never.
Right.
Um, and maybe even a little too much. Like she might have could have locked me up a few times, but I probably would have climbed out the window. Anyhow, but now I see in this age, parents of kids with seizures and epilepsy, or maybe it's not just the parents, maybe it's the kids too, like petrified, petrified to leave the house is one big one. Like, will not leave the house. Um, like work, like do anything. And the thing is, like, you can't really make the excuse for me to work or leave the house or do any of it because everything, like, everything is accessible.
Right.
Everything. Like, you can get a job
Yeah.
online. You could be an influencer. Right now, like, you can make money like just talking on this thing, you
Yeah.
know? But the pure fear of being yourself because you have now been diagnosed and people have put fears in your head from the loads of information out there, whether it's other people sharing their fears to a grand scheme of like, oh my gosh, this happened to me. I'm now terrified for life. What do you think? Do you think this is like kind of a bad turn of events of in this way?
Um,
I mean, the community is great, don't get me wrong, but I think like sometimes it's very misguided.
I don't know. I guess it depends on how you go with it. Um, it depends on your personality. Um, because I don't really like, there's so much negativity online, but
Uh-huh.
I don't get into that really. Like, I could go and live in fear of everything that anybody says online, but I don't really get into that. Um,
But
and
think
I
if you
could,
were 17. Like we can't think
oh
like,
yeah,
like think if you were there, like you were 17, 16, um, operating in this world now.
yeah,
I don't know if it would be a blessing or a curse because I feel
right,
like literally I did a whole poll. Like what is the scariest? What is your biggest fear? That's what I said. What is your biggest fear with epilepsy besides seizures, obviously? And so many were like leaving the house, like just leaving the house.
yeah.
Um,
And so that's how you got your idea for your digital product.
um, I already kind of had the confidence. The confidence is
Hey, I've gone
already,
through the classes too, so it's all good. I know how you do
yeah, the confidence
it.
is already one I know because
Oh yeah,
it it takes a level of your person, like everything you know away. You know, the insecurity there is, oh my gosh, it's been years of work for me to undo layers of, I would say, what I did to protect myself.
yeah,
So that would be, hold on, I gotta do a puzzle. Um, so drugs, alcohol, being a whole personality that was not even mine, like the life of the party where I was making other people laugh because I was so hurt inside, or, brushing off seizures saying they were overdoses, whatever. I did so many things, dating terrible people because I thought that's what I deserved because that was my worth. So
yeah.
undoing these layers and layers and layers because for whatever matters. I don't know. I guess I just thought I was an alien when I got epilepsy. That's just what I thought.
And that's like that's a hard thing to. I think
Sorry, I'm
I don't know
coughing so
that
much.
that would. I don't know that that would change necessarily now over when we were growing up. Because even so, like, it's hard to find people that you can connect with and connect with well. Um, even online now, with as much, um, because it's hard to know where to start with that, I think. Because you can't just like go on social media and say, hey, I had it. It's hard to go on social media and say, I have epilepsy. I want to connect with people who have epilepsy. Like,
Hmm.
you just don't do that because it's weird.
It's not
Because you're gonna
weird.
get, it's not weird, it's not something that we do, not something that we as humans are comfortable doing.
You know
um
what I think it is? I think it's something that you want to do. It's all the people you know, like growing up, the people or like the people you've always known, right? Like, or you might not know. or hang out with now, but it's like the people you've always known, and it's like, oh, coming out into this new person. Richie with versus epilepsy. He wants to
Oh, hey,
join.
I know. I sort of, I've uh, at least talked with him a couple times, but
Do you want to schedule live
that's
or?
fine. Yeah, if you want to, yeah, just we can schedule him on some
Hey
at some point.
Richie, do you want to come on here? We'll schedule. I'm about to hop off here shortly because I'm dying from the
Yeah,
sickness. But
we're getting pretty close to being done. So
um, but yes, the injuries afterwards can be traumatic. You're absolutely right. I have had my fair share of injuries from all sorts of falls. But yes, there's so many things with epilepsy that create trauma. Epilepsy is a traumatic diagnosis. I think the diagnosis is a lifelong to get over realizing that we are not our diagnosis. We have epilepsy, but not identifying with being epileptic is profoundly life-changing for me, at least. um, and yeah, but there's so many. It's very traumatic. So many things. I think. But yeah, when I was hiding it, I think the most, that's where it was traumatic for me because I was hiding, a piece of me.
yeah,
So, and then
but
like,
I think at this point in my life, I mean, and I can't obviously say what it would have been like to have the social media now that we have, or then that we have now. But to have it at this point in my life, I'm extremely grateful for it.
oh,
Um,
absolutely.
because I love being able to connect with people, be able to talk with people. And like you just sent me someone to come over and talk with me earlier this week who I was able to talk with, and I messaged back and forth with her about some stuff, and it was just for me to be able to have like a little bit of encouragement into someone's life is huge. And it's
Hmm.
someone she was like really struggling with the decision to make on what to do. And so yeah, just to be able to have like a little bit of impact that you and I can have is that's just so awesome. Um,
That is, that is amazing.
so
And I guess, yeah, just sticking to that instead of, I guess, getting caught up in, I get so much Reddit stuff that I'm just like overwhelmed.
I
Reddit is
don't
like,
do I don't
it's
do Reddit.
awful. And it's not just like epilepsy community at all. It's just Reddit in
Oh yeah,
general. Um, and I guess I just hate it because I believe no matter what you have, you're so capable. So I guess it's just
oh
so
yeah, yeah,
disheartening to me to see anyone so disempowered because
yep,
I've been there. I've been there
yeah,
so many times that I just want to scoop them up because I know also how it is to be in that situation, have a chronic illness, and not be around supportive people. Like you can have the interweb, you can have these things, but if you don't have a support system around you, it is so isolating. Or people who don't understand. I know a lot of people go through that don't see, like, okay, they understand the seizures, but they don't get like all the other impacts of what epilepsy is, like
yeah.
the medications or the mood swings or whatever else might come with it. If you have ADHD or spectrum, there's so many other things, right? It could be. Um, so I think not being supported. So it is really great to, I guess, offer that.
Sandy said, I think you and what you and Morgan do is great. I think more people will open up and feel comfortable. And I think 100% people will, and people have already. I mean, we talk about Uber, and he's told me several times like that. he was completely uncomfortable talking about it online, um, and even talking about it with other people that he knew in person. And now he has completely flipped to where he's come on here multiple times and talks about it openly. Um, and I've had other people that are like, well, I'm not quite comfortable talking about it on there yet, um, but I would like to at some point. And so yeah, just to have people be like, I'm almost there. I'm almost willing to, but not quite.
Hmm.
Like I'm okay with that. Like I'm not gonna force people or try and force people to come on here. I don't like when you're ready to come on here and talk. Let's go. Let's do it. Because I love having people on here. I love talking with people on here and hearing different people's stories. Because everybody's got their own different story. Thanks, Jen. Um, and it's affected everybody in a little bit different way. Sandy said, because you and Morgan are
Uh,
caring and kind, and that's what helps people feel comfortable. And that's true. And that's what we try and do on here is try and not like not coddle people. We're not going to tell people, hey, everything is going to be fine. You're never going to have a seizure again because that's not true. I don't know that.
mhm.
But to be kind and gentle and people and to meet people where they're at, I think that's what we do a good job of doing here. And I'm pretty proud of what we do here. And I'm happy about the fact that we're able to do that and we're able to connect and help people here. 100%. Jen said that epilepsy doesn't get spoken enough about, and so it's great that we go
You
and
know,
share our
it
stories. And it
really
doesn't.
does. It does not. Like, it really does not. And it's a wild thing to me. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, my friend has a child. She is a doctor. Her husband is like some fancy neuro doctor. And their child has a rare disease, like very rare.
Huh.
They have gotten this organization up and running, fully funded, all this grant money, got her like it's wild how much like progress they have made with this rare disease. And I'm just like, epilepsy has been around for I don't know how fucking
Yeah.
long, but
Yeah.
the money that goes into it, not a lot. Like, not a whole lot for how large of a
Yeah.
scale it is. And like even yoga, like the proof that that it's beneficial, no money goes into like holistic and epilepsy. Like there's not the only thing that goes into it is prescription drugs. That's where the money goes. And we can see how
Okay.
helpful that
Thanks.
is. Okay. So there's subpar.
Thanks, JP.
All the numbers are not numbering at all. And I was just like, that is so fucking wild to me. Like, that
Yeah.
is absolutely wild.
Yeah.
Okay,
Jen said that she doesn't have epilepsy, but she used to look after someone with epilepsy, and then she lost a very close friend to epilepsy, and it definitely needs um, more research and awareness, and it does, and it's crazy how little research it gets, with as much research as it does get, because it does get a lot,
yeah,
but with as many people as it affects, to have as little research in it as it has is crazy. Um, because it affects a lot of people. And you see some of the things that are affect less people have a lot more funding or a lot more research being done, or it maybe not, but it feels like anyways that they're making a lot more advances in them. And maybe that's because of what we were talking about earlier with the brain being so complex and so advanced. It's very
hmm,
hard to make steps forward in stopping something like this. So,
yeah. I mean, oh, Richie said he sent a request. Did he? I don't see it. I have a I have a go live with the as you as a guest, but we can't do it that way. You have to go live yourself and then ask to be a host, a co-host.
Go on your profile, Richie. Go live, and then we can request you in.
Yeah, because
And
I
he may
know
not,
they're
if he hasn't gone live enough before, he may not be able to. I don't know.
um um
No.
but I did there's this one girl who is seizure free, but she had a tumor on her brain.
Okay.
So technically her epilepsy is gone. So there are circumstances where it does go away depending on the
Right.
circumstance, you know?
Yeah.
And like mine is genetic, so we're in it for life.